Hello, hello, beautiful people. Welcome, welcome. My name is Portia Wilkins, and this is the Supernatural Pregnancy Summit Sneak Peek. I am excited about today. As I mentioned, my name is Portia Wilkins. I am your purpose midwife. I am here in Houston, Texas, and looking forward to an incredible session here on this afternoon, evening, or morning, wherever it is that you are watching from. Do me a huge, huge favor, guys. Go ahead and share this video, share the link, share whatever it is that has to do with this video with someone that you care for. Tag 3 women, 3 couples, people that you know are looking, desiring to conceive, whether it's an actual child in the natural or birth a vision or a dream or a goal, because the principles that we're going to talk about still apply. Yes. And so this is the Supernatural Pregnancy Summit sneak peek. And my name is Portia Wilkins. I am a wife, purpose midwife, author, and an entrepreneur here in the Houston, Texas area. And so before I jump into everything and introduce you all to our featured midwife today, I wanted to share with you all just a little bit about how we got here. For those of you who don't know my story or my journey. And so in 2014, after my husband and I got married, we wanted to go ahead and have a baby, have our little boy that we've always wanted. And so I went to the doctor to get my checkup, and then I found out I had fibroids. I had grapefruit-sized fibroids all over my uterus. And fibroids, for those of you who aren't aware of them, are like tumors. They're benign tumors, though, non-cancerous, and some of them are cancerous, but mine were not. And it's a plague in the Black community. Over 80% of Black women have them. Okay. And I had fibroids, didn't know what they were or anything. And so I had a myomectomy, which is a surgery that they put you under. You're sedated completely. They cut you open and they cut out the fibroids off of your uterus because the fibroids use estrogen to grow. Okay. And so when you are trying to grow a baby, as well as you got these fibroids going on, it's a lot. Okay. And so it's a space issue. It's a space issue for the baby. And so they want to make sure that they remove those fibroids out of the way so that you can have a baby. And so I went through the surgery, had all that. And then throughout that process, went through a lot of things supernaturally, prophetically. It was emotionally draining, financially draining. It was draining on our marriage, on my family, just everything. I was in depression. There was so many things happening during that time. And so after I healed from those fibroids and tried to conceive, 2 of the fibroids came back. And then that's when God stepped in and did the supernatural for me. I laid hands on myself every day and I prayed in the spirit. I was fasting as well. And I prayed for God to remove them. And he did. He removed the fibroids that came back, cleared my womb, completely healed me. Looked like I had nothing done to my uterus at all. This is after major surgery to have fibroids removed. This is after 2 came back. My uterus looked brand new. Okay. And so I knew then that God was going to give us our son. And this was in 2019. And God did just that. So I closed out the year, December 2019, with my first ever positive pregnancy test after 5 years, guys, 5 years, 60 months of negative pregnancy tests over and over and over again. God finally said, yes, this is the time. And we were pregnant. And I actually gave birth to our son on my 39th birthday, July 30th, 2020. And so I'm 40 years old now, and I have an 18-month-old running around the house. He is the greatest thing ever, full of power and passion, strength and excitement. He knew his ABCs by 15 months. He actually knows them, so you can ask him any letter. He'll tell you what they are. He also knows how to count to 10, okay, which is great too. And so he is our bundle of joy. His name is 𝙎𝙪𝙥𝙚𝙧𝙣. Aiden means little fire, and Nkwachi is Igbo, which is Nigerian. That means God's promise. And he is God's promise to us. And so just want to give you guys some backdrop on that. And so after I gave birth to my son, I knew that God was going to want me to do something else in regards to that. I knew that that wasn't going to be it. And so in September, God told me, he said, daughter, it's birthing season. You are to take that journey that I took you on, which was heavily prophetic, guys, heavily prophetic. And I need you to document this for my daughters, because in 2014, when you got the fibroids and removed them, I told you then my daughters were hungry. So 2014 was when I started my ministry while recovering from the fibroids. And I traveled the world. I laid hands on women. I prayed for women. I watched other women get pregnant. I watched them give birth. I watched the fruit of what God used for me to do for them. I watched it manifest in their life while bearing myself. Okay. And so he said, this is what we're going to do, daughter. So happy birthday. Here's your son, but your work is not done. And so I documented my supernatural pregnancy journey. I created a 3-part docu-series. You can watch that on supernaturalpregnancy.com. That'll take you there. I broke it up in 3 parts just to take you through the journey. It's a little over 2 hours for all 3 parts. So it's worth sitting and watching because it shows you guys how God strategically moves in our life. Shows you how he strategically moves. It's the little things that we may catch or miss that determines and makes the difference in our journey. And so by paying attention, by being close to him, by communicating with him on a daily basis, we don't miss what he's sending to us. And so I documented my supernatural pregnancy. And so I encourage you to watch that. Also, after that, throughout the journey, I was journaling. And so I tell anybody who's going through anything, no matter what it is, make sure you journal, make sure you are documenting all the things that God is doing in your life, because what you go through is not just for you. And so obviously they always say the book is better than the movie. So I put my testimony in video form for my docu-series, but I went into greater detail in my book. And it wasn't until I thought I was going to go through IVF that God told me throughout that time, after a botched IVF attempt, he said, "You're not infertile, my daughter. You're just not in timing." And so that's where the title of my book came from. You're not infertile. You're just not in timing. It is supernatural strategies to activate your faith in fertility for every area of your life. And I say for every area of your life because I know that there's a lot of people who, while you may want to give birth to a baby, life doesn't stop because you want to have a child. I was also birthing other things. I birthed a new business. You may birth a new relationship and new connections. Life doesn't stop because you want to have a baby. And so the birthing is multifaceted. I also birthed this book. And so the principles that I talk about that led me to my supernatural pregnancy are the same principles that you and anyone else can practice to manifest whatever it is, that vision or that dream that you have in your life, that promise that God put in your heart that you want to have now in your hand. And so you can get your copy of that. It's entitled on the website, you'renotinfertile.com. And the timing part is important because there's our time and then there's God's time. Our time is chronos, minutes, seconds, hours, days, weeks, months. God doesn't operate on that. He's not subject to time. He's the creator of time. So time is subject to him. He operates on Kairos time. And so the way that he flows, we are to get in alignment with his timing. So you may have a specific date on the calendar for when you have a goal to accomplish something and it doesn't happen on that date. You may think something is wrong. But what God is saying and what he was saying to me is that I'm going to do it, but it's going to be in my time, which is always the perfect time. So that's my book. And then leading up into where we are talking about today, the Supernatural Pregnancy Summit. Guys, I've done 2 big ministry events since God called me to it in 2014. I didn't go to theology school, wasn't ordained by any particular minister or any of that. It was just literally a relationship with Jesus. He said, "This is what I want you to do." I was like, "God, do I have the credentials?" He was like, "You gonna tell them what I tell you." Okay, we could do that. And so that's when my ministry started, and that's how I operated throughout this entire process. And so I'm not one to always want to do an event, right? I'm a low-key introvert, so I would rather just be at home chilling. But I'm going to be obedient always, and every time I do, the Spirit moves. And so I had my first ever ministry event in Houston, Texas, January 2016. It was called the Straight Talk Woman Talk Intensive. I'm still getting testimonials from that. And then during a business trip in Johannesburg, South Africa, God said, you got to come here. My daughters are hungry here. And so in 2018, January, we went to South Africa and did the same and saw the supernatural happen for so many women. So many women were healed from fibroids and different issues, and didn't have to have the hysterectomy that was planned for them that week because of the supernatural that took place in that event. And I'm doing all of this while bearing myself. And so since giving birth, he said, do the docu-series, write the book, and bring my daughters together again. But this time we're coming together to talk about how his supernatural can help you birth, to activate your faith, to believe for birthing. So the Supernatural Pregnancy Summit is going to take place in Houston, Texas on March the 12th. It is a prophetic push from midwives and ministers guaranteed to activate your faith in fertility for every area of life. I had one young lady ask me, is this event for women who don't want to have a baby? Absolutely, because you're pregnant with purpose. Absolutely. The baby is a metaphor, guys. And so a midwife in the natural is someone that shows up after a woman gets pregnant to carry them through the process of delivering their child physically. A supernatural midwife, which is what I am, is someone who shows up to help you carry out your faith walk, to help you believe more, to help you believe bigger, and activate your faith when you just have no confidence, when your doubt is high, when you're unsure if what God told you was going to happen is actually going to happen because your money doesn't align with your dream, your relationships doesn't align with your dream, your health doesn't align with your dream. Everything in the natural says no. Okay. So as a midwife, supernaturally, my job and my assignment by God is to encourage you, to show you just how he, despite every man's no, can step in and say yes in his timing and get your promise to you. And so I prayed and asked him who he wanted to serve alongside me with this. And so here are your midwives. We have a collection of women who have gone through different stages and completely different testimonies, each one of them, and how God has stepped in and supernaturally helped them birth their promise. And so you got Shannon Hinton. She's going to be emceeing the event. She's a cathartic midwife. She's a first lady, powerful woman of God. She's not believing God for a baby physically because her children are grown, but she is believing God for visions and goals and dreams that she has within her heart. And we have Tiffany Walton. She's our eccentric midwife. She's very edgy and I love it. She actually used IVF as a route to conceive her supernatural pregnancy. And we're going to talk about that because a lot of people feel that unless they do it, the only way to do it is naturally. If they don't have a baby naturally and they use science, that God isn't involved. And what her testimony proves is what I know to be true as well, is that God is the one that has to give life regardless. Okay. And so you're going to hear from her. And then you have Chica Hunt, who is our nurture midwife. Man, this woman is so powerful. I experienced her live at an event in 2017 and I locked it into my brain and said, whenever I'm doing something, I gotta have this woman a part of it. God, how can she fit? And her journey of coming from a teenage parent, becoming a teenage parent herself, not knowing not only what to do with the baby, but being completely disconnected emotionally as well. You've given me this child. I wasn't nurtured. How do I nurture? So God supernaturally softened her heart to teach her how to mother. I know there's a lot of women that can relate to that. And then we have the lovely LaFlower Bowie, who you're going to hear from today. She's our potency midwife, and I'll take you through her supernatural journey in a moment. And we have Nadine Smith. She's going to be our warrior midwife. This woman's son was literally knocking on doors' death. Her teenage son, healthy boy. She prayed for this promise. He's here. What do you do when the promise that God is giving you is under attack? After the fact. See, a lot of us were praying just to receive the promise. But what happens if you got the promise, you didn't raise the promise, and now the promise is under attack? And so her son was literally knocking on doors' death. The doctor said it looked like a bomb went off on the inside of his body. Nobody could figure out what happened or what was going on. And through prayer, fasting, and God's supernatural ability, her son walked out of that hospital room, looking and acting like it never happened. And to this day is as healthy as can be. You're going to hear from her on Thursday. And then we have Melissa Bethea. She is our menstrual midwife, powerful woman of God. God has put music in her heart. She leads praise and worship here in the Houston area. Incredible woman of God. And so her testimony for supernatural pregnancy is powerful too. She received a prophetic word and was told within 6 months she will have her supernatural baby. And God did it 6 months to the day. So you're going to hear from her as well. And then last week we were able to hear from Tony Senegal. She is our prayer midwife. Man, she has gone through so much from a fertility perspective, from miscarriages to so many lost babies, abortions, fibroids, 19 of them, I believe. She shared her testimony last week and how God just completely flipped it upside down and turned everything in her favor, to where he spoke to the doctor, where the nurses were telling the doctor in the operating room that she need to have a hysterectomy. The doctor was like, no, I promised her I wouldn't do that. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can remove the fibroid so she can conceive. Here she is laying on the operating table, unable to speak for herself, but the Holy Spirit stepped in and spoke for her to the doctor to restore her womb, to save her womb, and she gave birth to her promised baby girl. And man, it was powerful. So make sure you go back and watch that replay so you can get your tickets to the event March the 12th. Supernaturalpregnancy.com is the website. You'll be able to hear from these women live and in person. You'll be able to be in an environment that will cultivate your faith believing action, will take you to a whole nother level in believing for birthing, will inspire you, will uplift you. You will feel loved, heard, cared for. And so we have a running a workable itinerary on the site, because we move by the Spirit. Okay, we move by the Spirit. So at any point in time when God says one thing, we're going to do what he says do. But we have a working itinerary now posted for the event. And so you can meet us here in Houston March the 12th. You got plenty of time to plan your travel to get here. I know many of you have already booked your flights, which is smart to do. Get your hotel, secure that right now, because you want to be in that room with us. It is going to be powerful. Okay. And so I have the pleasure of sharing, introducing. Also, this is this week's itinerary. So we have LaFlower Bowie today. She's our potency midwife. And then we have Nadine Smith on Thursday. So mark your calendar, save the date, and make sure you join us on Thursday as well. But let's talk about our guest for today, Miss LaFlower Bowie. She is our potency midwife. This woman is absolutely incredible. Check out her supernatural journey for conceiving. She's a wife, she's a mother, she's an entrepreneur, she's an author. You can see her book right there, Principles to Reposition. But check out her supernatural journey. In 1999, she got pregnant and didn't even know she was pregnant. She had no prenatal care. She was very active in sports and had a healthy baby girl. 2002, healthy baby boy. 2005, healthy baby girl. 2008, abortion. 2009, an embryonic pregnancy. 2010, healthy baby girl. 2012, she had a baby girl born with 𝙎𝙪𝙥𝙚𝙧𝙖𝙪𝙧𝙘 syndrome. 2014, healthy baby girl. 2020, okay, healthy baby girl. She was high risk, premature, had an emergency C-section for that. And in 2022, right now, she's pregnant, like right now. When she told me this, I was like, wait, you pregnant right now? She's like, yes. I was like, oh my goodness, your womb is like super potent. I'm like, spread some of that around. Yes. And so she's pregnant right now with a baby boy. Prayers answered, prophecy fulfilled. And so she's going to be there with us on March the 12th. But guys, share this video, because we have the beautiful, the lovely Miss LaFlower Bowie here on the line with us. Yes, she is here. I'm so excited to be here with you today. I'm grateful that you agreed to be a midwife and serve alongside of us, because I already know what God is going to do, because he's already starting to move in the lives of so many women already. And so I'm just believing him to do the impossible, do the unthinkable, and heal women right there on the spot. And I just know by hearing your testimony, your story, which I haven't even heard the entirety of. So I'm excited to get the sneak peek today and then to witness it live and in person myself on the 12th. But I know that it's going to be a blessing. And so I appreciate you for saying yes. And so won't you come on and say hello to everyone, share with them a little bit about you, and then we'll just get this party going.
Awesome, awesome. I'm so excited. I can't wait until the 12th. You got me pumped up. Every time I hear your testimony, oh my gosh, I just want to run around the room and just give God all the glory, because, and with all the other midwives, it's just, God is just so, so dope. He's so dope. So thank you so much, Portia, for having me on today. And, and I'm grateful that God put me on your heart to be a part of the Supernatural Pregnancy Summit. But yeah, guys, my name is LaFlower Bowie. I am in Houston, Texas. I'm a wife. I'm a mom of an XL family. We have currently we have 8 children with 1 on the way, and so that will make 2 boys and 7 girls. So yeah, that's a lot of heads to comb. I'm an entrepreneur, a wife, so many things. And the thing that I just keep hearing God saying is that it's birthing season in every area of your life. And Portia's so right. It's like that same thing fell into my spirit fall of 2021, where God is like, it's birthing season. So many things are getting ready to come. But yeah, I was a teenage mom. There's so many of us who go through sexual abuse and things like that. And so I was taken advantage of when I was in high school by an older guy. And I had no clue that I was pregnant. I didn't know this. Looking back, I'm like, girl, you was pregnant. But at the moment, I didn't know the signs of being pregnant. Now I know, like, I know when I'm pregnant. But back then, when I was just a 15-year-old girl, I had no clue. I'm active in sports. Academically, I was doing well. And I didn't realize I was pregnant until we literally got to the hospital. I just knew that I had pains. And my mother, she's a praying woman. She says, I had a vision. God showed me something's about to go down. So we need to get to the hospital right away. So yeah, that was in 1999. And, I didn't accept the potency of my womb, or that realizing that motherhood is one of my superpowers, until some years ago. I'm just thinking, I got these kids. We gonna run. We gonna do what we gotta do. I'm gonna make it happen. And I just continued to push, and God just continued to bless and to bless and to expand and to expand. And I look back on scripture when God says your gifts will make room for you, and it's just bananas, because I meet so many people and they're like, how do you do it? And God just keeps increasing my capacity to love, my capacity of patience, my capacity of understanding, being able to parent so many children, their different personalities. It's just so amazing. God is so amazing. He will definitely increase you in every area that He wants you to excel in, right? And so, Portia, I'm just super excited to be here. That's a little bit of how the story began. Currently, I'm now in 2022. My husband and I, this is our both of our second marriages, and so we have a blended family. And I had a son with, before my husband and I got together. And so my husband has always wanted someone to carry on his namesake, someone to carry on the Bowie last name, right? And over the years, we would just pray and pray and pray. And after we had our baby in 2020, Miss Riley J, we just said, you know what, God, we get it. We get it. It's like, it was cool. It would have been great if you did it. But if you don't do it, we're cool with it. Right. And so fall of 2021, found out we were pregnant. And we're like, what? We were like, this was totally unexpected. My husband was traveling a lot. So it was like, how did this literally happen? Like, do this, like, what are the dates? Because how did this happen? And one of the things that my husband said, he's like, you know what? When I surrendered to God and I said, God, I'm okay if you do it, and I'm okay if you don't do it, that's when the prophecy was fulfilled, right? Because we've had so many people prophesy to us that this little guy was coming. This little guy was coming. But my husband and I have had 4 girls together. And we were both okay. We're like, you know what, God, we're going to carry on the legacy with our children, with the 8 that we have. We're going to rock it out. But once we surrendered and said, you know what, God, it's yours. It is all yours. That's when that prophecy was fulfilled. And so I just want to encourage everyone to continue to just walk by faith. Continue to do what you're doing. Continue to love who you have. Love your womb. Like Portia said, pray over your womb. Pray over your womb for the children that are adults, because now we're about to have a 23-year-old. And that life is different. That is a very different, like, a parental walk to walk in with parenting adults. So I still pray over my womb. I still pray over everything that is birthed naturally and supernaturally from my womb. And I encourage everyone to do so. Back to you, Portia.
That is powerful. You said something that really resonates, and I know it'll definitely hit home for a lot of women and men as well. Is I'm okay if you do it, and I'm okay if you don't do it. I think a lot of times we say that but don't necessarily mean it. We say it out of frustration. We say it out of just whatever. If you do it, you do it. If you don't, you don't. More like that, right? But what it sounds to me is that you got to that point of resolve and trusting in him where you said it and you actually meant it, because saying it just to get it off of you and putting up a wall so that you don't get hurt is different from genuinely trusting and believing God and saying, hey, whenever you do it, I'm okay. Even if you don't, I'm okay. What was that like? Because, and explain, like, what were you thinking? What were you genuinely feeling during that time? Because a lot of people may not even recognize that that's what they're doing.
It was really once we found out that Riley in 2020, she was a baby girl. And we just said, you know what? It's all good. We literally prayed together and we're like, God, are we gonna love this little girl like we love all of our children, even though we have boy names picked out? Like, we know this is a boy. We know that we know.
Were you sad at all? Were you angry? Were you frustrated
I
at all? Like,
think
what was
as
that
a
feeling?
wife, I my emotions, the sadness came more for my husband. That's the one thing that I couldn't give to him. The one thing, like, because being a wife is, I pride myself on being a wife, but that's the one thing throughout the entire 10 years we've been married that I was not able to birth a son for him. And I realized that it's not on me. That's between him and God. And then when my husband realized that he had to do some things and he had to surrender some things and he had to truly get to that mindset of, you know what, God, I'm good. Like, even if you give me some amazing, grand boys, I'm going to rock it out with them. They're going to be my little sluggers. I'm going to play sports with them. And then he also went to a place where with our oldest son, our son now, he's 19, about to be 20. He was like, you know what, God, I'm going to pour even more love into that relationship. And so that's really where the sadness came for me, hurting for him. But it was just such an encouraging journey, because sometimes as wives, we want to be in the mix. We want to do stuff. But, when I really just surrendered and I said, God, it's on you. And I saw the work that God was doing in my husband. And it was absolutely amazing.
That's powerful, and that's going to bless a lot of people. And I can relate on multiple parts in this. The first part in that this is the one thing he wanted, that you don't determine when it happens, and you don't determine how it ends up, right?
Right.
So for me, with the fibroids and everything, my husband was prophesied to decades before we even met, and told that he would have a son with his wife. And so he had always believed for that. And so when we got married, it was like, oh, here we are. And so my whole thing was, I didn't wait till marriage to have sex. So I was in the world, I was in sin before, but God, I repented, I'm forgiven, I'm in my marriage now. This is what is supposed to happen, right? I didn't have children out of wedlock. I didn't do any of that, God. This is when you do it. When my husband met, his daughter was 10 months old. I immediately stepped in to mother her. She started calling me mommy by the time she was 1. And so that has been our life. And like your husband said also, I'm going to pour all I have into the 19-year-old, right? And so that's what I did with our daughter. I just poured everything that I had, like the love, like everything, not using her as a replacement because I still had that desire, but just not also allowing my lack to change how I treated the child. And so I can relate on that too. But I remember there were so many moments throughout our marriage that were really, really tough, because we were both frustrated and not knowing how to comprehend it, not knowing how to communicate it to one another. And there was even a point in time where we were like, should we had just stay friends and business partners? Because it's not looking like what was promised and prophesied is going to happen. Right. So if they prophesied to you, you're going to have a son by your wife, there's a chance I won't be able to have a baby. Am I really supposed to be your wife? Right. And even though we knew God put us together. So there were so many different emotions and moving parts and all of that. And my husband was always the most casual throughout the process. And in that, where he was like, I got the prophecy and I'm just holding on to that, or if I get a negative pregnancy test, he wouldn't respond the way that I wanted him to. The emotion would be different, right? And so it put a strain on our marriage when you are going through that fight and trying to create something that you literally have no control over. Because you can calculate it, the ovulation date, you can do all of that stuff, but if God says it's not time, then it's not time. However, it still doesn't change the feeling. It still doesn't change the feeling of it happening and it not being what you want. Okay, so that's good to hear from the husband's lens and perspective that you were sharing, that he was the one that was designed. Like, you had no problem getting pregnant.
Right.
It was just you getting pregnant with what he had prayed for and what he wanted. So it really was a test for him on patience as well. Yeah. So that's good. And then throughout your pregnancies, your whole journey, you mentioned that, so your journey, although you're fertile and you're potent, your wound is potent, is not imperfect.
Right.
I mean, it's not perfect. It's
Right.
not
Yeah.
perfect. Your womb isn't perfect. You did go through some stuff, right? Because people hear, oh, she got a lot of kids. She's potent. Da 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 da. Every time she want to have a baby, boom, she has a baby, and it's no problem. Talk about some of those instances where it was you had the let's go to that really quick. So you didn't know you was pregnant. You had the healthy baby boy, healthy baby girl. You had the abortion, and right after that, you had the embryonic pregnancy. What was
Right.
going on during those two times? Because again, there's a lot of women who have also had abortions too that are like, I don't know if God will do it for me again because
Right.
of this. So there's fear there in whether or not, because they're married now, right? And they want to do it the right way. And so now they're here and they're having struggles. Let's talk about those two things of the when you face the conflict and you
Sure.
face
Sure.
the
Right. So, so Marcus and I were together unofficially during 2008, 2009, and I chose to have the abortion, and that's a whole nother walk of unworthiness into worthiness that I had to come back into, because that's something that's one of those never things that I said when I was younger. Like, I would never do this. Um, and I'm gonna cry thinking about it now. Um, and so after that, a few months later, in probably spring of 2009, again, we weren't officially together. Um, I realized that I was pregnant. I'm like, I'm not doing that again. We're keeping this baby.
I think you froze a little bit. One second, guys. We're gonna see if we can get LaFlower unstuck, because this is a super important part of her testimony. Hang with us 1 second, guys. 1 second. So LaFlower's gonna jump back on. I think her internet dropped. And man, listen, you gonna get this word. So apparently there's someone who's gonna jump onto this live stream as soon as LaFlower gets back on, who needs to hear what she's getting ready to say, because that's why it dropped off. So I already know when there's complications like this with technology, that means God is working out some other details and stuff. So she'll be back with us in a moment. But her testimony, as you can tell, was so powerful. And so I'm excited to have her as a midwife, and to be sharing at the summit as well. So she's back.
Xfinity
Hello,
don't want me to be
hello.
great today, y'all. Xfinity does
Listen,
not want me to.
listen, I told them, I said, listen, I said, oh, and it froze again. Oh, there she go. Wait, okay, you're good. I think you're good. Keep talking, say something else.
Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me
Okay, I
okay?
can hear you now. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So what I was sharing with them is that when you get back on, because I knew it was an internet thing. I knew it was an internet thing. When you get back on, whoever is on the live now who wasn't on before needs to hear what you're saying right now. What you're sharing in this moment is for them.
I gotcha.
And
Gotcha.
so go ahead and
Amen.
continue.
Amen.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So guys, so yeah, 2008, I decided to have an abortion. And like I was saying, that's a whole nother show topic, dealing with unworthiness, especially when it comes to, our faith, to have to make a decision to do that, because we were together, but we weren't officially together. And that's we'll talk more about that, another time. And then in 2009, we had another, we got pregnant again. And like I said, we weren't officially together. So I knew that there was a possibility that I would be a single mom of 4 instead of just 3 that I currently had at the time. And I went to my doctor's appointments by myself. And one of the hardest things, because I had already had 3 successful pregnancies, where one of the first appointments that you go to is you get excited about hearing the baby's heartbeat. And to know the situation that I was in with Marcus, and to know that, to not hear that heartbeat once I had that ultrasound, that crushed me. That crushed me. And I couldn't call him at the time because, like I said, we was together, but we weren't together. And immediately they just said that, we're gonna have to do a procedure. And they had me schedule a procedure and everything like that. And so it was so hard. Like I said, I'm getting so emotional thinking about this now. Not only is this the second pregnancy that I've gone through that is not going to come to term, but I'm having to go through all these emotions by myself because he wasn't able to be there at that time. And the last difficult pregnancy that I had, it was in 2012 with our 9-year-old Alana. And we found out probably about 5 to 6 months in the pregnancy that she had a heart defect. That there was a hole in her heart, and the because you have to force, her blood was mixing. And so it was going to cause issues. And so immediately they started prepping us to say, typically babies with heterotaxy, and this is one of the things that you can identify heterotaxy. They say, well, it's normally they're born with 2 defects. And so they prepped us. They say if she could have Down syndrome, she can be diagnosed as mentally retarded. She could, just so many things. She may not even be able to function. And so they wanted to know if we wanted to continue the pregnancy. I'm like, of course I want to continue the pregnancy. But, it was just so many emotions were going on. About a month later, we found out what the second part of heterotaxy is. Her version of heterotaxy is that she had a blockage in her intestines, so she wasn't able to process anything that she was taking in the womb. And there was so much amniotic fluid because she was just almost like regurgitating everything. And so again, they began to prep us for the worst. And they, as soon as she was born, I didn't even get a chance to hold her. They immediately took her away, and she was born prematurely. Marcus barely walked into the delivery room as she was coming out, because that was also my pregnancy or my labor, where they didn't believe that I was in labor. So I had no pain meds, no epidural, no anything. And I just laid there in the hospital bed, just me and God, just praying, going through all of this pain. And finally, I call the doctor, and again, I'm like, something's going on. Something is going on. Like, can you please check me? And I was so far dilated, fully 10 centimeters, guys. As soon as she checked me, my water broke, and they had to rush me into an emergency delivery. And again, Marcus is at home out here in Richmond. I'm in the medical center because I was such a high risk pregnancy. I started. So Marcus came barely, as I'm pushing out, so much pain. Like, shout out to all of y'all who give birth without no pain meds, like without an epidural, without anything. Shout out to you guys. But the testimony in this is that baby girl, she had to have surgery immediately to remove the blockage from her intestines. She had to have open heart surgery at 11 months old. And so every time we go to the doctor, even to this day, so many interns, so many people come in, they want to check her, they want to look at her, they want to hear her heart murmur. And the doctors still don't understand how she is as healthy as she is. They don't understand why she doesn't have any of the symptoms for a newborn baby, yet a 9-year-old who had to have open heart surgery. Jesus. We've had to wear monitors for them to check her, just so many things. And so back to you, Portia. I got to dry my eyes really quick.
Yeah, I'm starting to. The thing for me, there's so much in that is an issue, and that is a blessing as well. Just the whole part where, oh wow, I think you jumped on again. Okay. The whole part where Jesus, you are in the hospital and she'll be back, guys. She'll be back. Her I think it's already there. There she goes. The whole part where you're in the hospital and you are telling them something is wrong. And they're not listening to you.
Right.
That breaks my heart, because life is at risk here. Life is at stake here. And I know this is the narrative of Black women are so strong, they're so powerful, we can endure so much. That really is a subconscious prejudice in the minds of people in the medical field. I experienced that myself after surgery with my myomectomy. They wheeled me into my from the transfer room to my actual hospital room, and they have to lift you from the rolling bed to your actual bed. And I'm looking at the guy they have over to the right of me. He's about 4 foot nothing. I'm like, he's real thin, he's real frail. I'm like, he should not be on that side receiving me. He's not strong enough. So I'm trying to tell them, can you wait? Can y'all swap? They completely ignored me. They had my husband, asked my husband to leave out the room, so he couldn't speak for me. They completely ignored me. As they lift me up to place me on the bed, I'm 3 feet over the next bed. They dropped me. This is fresh out of surgery. And I yelled so loud. My husband ran into the room cussing, and I was like, they dropped me. And I was like, y'all would like, I'm trying to, I don't know what they thought. I wasn't high off the medication. I wasn't incoherent. I know what's going on with my body. I am telling you, something is wrong with this situation. This is not going to work out, right? I'm prophetic as well. The Holy Spirit, like, tell them this ain't working. Tell them this ain't working. It's not going to work. And they're not listening to me, and they drop me on the bed. So that right there it triggered me when you shared that part, because you are in labor.
Right. And the crazy part about that person,
and you got to tell them.
It was crazy because she wasn't due. We were in, this is the 3rd week of June. She wasn't due until the 2nd week of August. And the crazy thing is,
nope, you froze again. I bind this poor internet from Xfinity in the name of Jesus. You will work. You will work. Y'all gonna get this message today, because this is powerful. The enemy is upset. He don't want the word out, but it's gonna get out. LaFlower will be back with us in a moment. She will be back. My God, y'all, I hope you're hearing this, because it is too common. It's too common and it's 3 of you on here now. Let's remove this one.
What?
There you go. Yes, it was 3 of you on there
now. Somebody must really need to hear this today.
Man, listen, I tell you, the devil's real mad right now, because we're touching on a lot of things right now. We're touching on a lot of things that is happening that people need to pay attention to. We are treated differently.
We definitely are.
We're not playing a card. This ain't a black card being played. This ain't the race card being played. It is what it is. This is our experience. I know I was dropped on the bed. You know, you were ignored. You had to deliver a baby with you didn't plan to do the whole natural water birth. You know, some women plan to do that. They want to have the baby naturally in the water and do all that. If you don't put this needle in my back, I'm that one, okay?
And I definitely thought about it, but I think the thing that hurt me the most, as I was saying before, whatever they're doing outside, the internet flickered again. I had been to the hospital a couple times during this pregnancy just for them to check me. And so it was this one particular doctor, and it hurt me because she looked like me. She looked like me. So I'm like, I think you would understand me a little bit better, right? And so that night we were coming back from Schlitterbahn, our annual family trip to Schlitterbahn. And I told them, don't take me home, take me straight to the hospital. I'm having major contractions. And I get in, and immediately she gives me that look like, oh, she back. Right. Like, oh, she's back. And I'm like, put me on the monitor, please, and see these contractions. And so they could see the contractions, but of course they have to be so consistent. They have to be so far apart. But I knew these weren't Braxton Hicks. It's like, I knew that something was not right. And
this was baby number what? This was baby number what for you?
Alana was baby number 5.
Okay, so you know a little something about your body when you're about to have a baby.
Yeah. So that's what I said. The thing that hurt me the most was that the doctor, she looked like me. And she didn't believe me. She did not believe me.
Wow. Oh my God. Isn't that life though? When you are called to do something great, you're attempting to birth it, and it's not recognized, appreciated, acknowledged, supported. It's like it's nothing. It's just whatever. They're just doing the little this or the little that. And regardless, because you're the one that have to birth it, you still got to push through. And I love the metaphor in this, because there was no way for you to not give birth to your daughter, because she was coming, whether you were ready or not. She was coming. But people abort missions a lot with dreams and goals and visions and stuff, because it's not an actual child coming out. But when you are in the delivery room and you're completely exposed, you have no choice, mom, but to push through, literally, and get the baby out, or it will cost a life, yours or the child's. And so for you to still push through and do that, and it was that faith and that fight that you had that transferred over to your daughter, which is
Right.
why God has his hands on her the way that he does, because that is a powerful testimony there for her to have her own fight.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is her first year that I'm like, because I was afraid to allow her to play sports, just because of my own fear. And God was like, take your hands off of my child. Like, if you don't let, like, if something gonna happen, let it happen where she's doing what she wants to do, because she's so rambunctious, she's super active, and she's been begging for 2 years, like, mommy, I want to play basketball. So she is a basketball queen. She say they call it a queen of defense, and I'm like, be careful,
Because she's a fighter. Because she's a
she
fighter.
is.
That's it. Oh, please let me know when she has a game. I have to come and cheer that baby on right there. Yes. Oh my goodness. See, and okay, so you look at, ladies and gentlemen, you look at her journey here. And so she had the abortion, and then she had the embryonic pregnancy, had a baby girl, and so then she had the her daughter with the 𝙎𝙪𝙥𝙚𝙧𝙣𝙪𝙧𝙖𝙡 syndrome. And so it wasn't that, and then right after that in 2020, this is when you and I started connecting and working together and stuff, where you're high risk, premature, and had to have an emergency C-section. So even though you've had this whole journey of potency, it wasn't without the pain as well. So were those the other pregnancies, the other deliveries, were they seamless? Were they fine as well? Because what I want people to understand, there's a lot of moms to be that is going to be watching this, and is also going to be coming to the summit on March the 12th, is that the fight doesn't stop after you're pregnant with it. The fight doesn't stop. You still got to fight. You're still gonna have to push through. The process is ugly. It's not
Absolutely.
going to be beautiful. The end result is beautiful. The children are beautiful. The vision of the business is beautiful. The book is beautiful. The idea is beautiful once completed. But that process, that journey to get there, it's some drama that comes along with it. So when
That's so true, Portia.
Miss Riley, go ahead and share. Yeah.
No, I'm saying that's so true because, of course, I've prided myself on being able to give natural births and not having to have a C-section. And but Riley J, the little one that was born in 2020, she literally saved my life with this emergency C-section, because once you are a mother once you have multiple births, there's certain things that go on with your uterus and things like that. Healing is different because you've had multiple births. And the day that Riley came, I went to the doctor, and they're like, go home, pack a bag, and go to the hospital. Like, we have to, like, it's time. Something's going on. And my doctor sent in orders for them not to touch me, just to monitor me throughout the night. And she would come in, and we would, get things going with Pitocins, all that good stuff. Something I'm used to. But the overnight doctors, they didn't listen to my doctor's orders, who knew I've been with this doctor for pretty much 10 years now. They were trying to force my body into labor. And so that caused some things to happen. And so she rushed me into an emergency C-section.
Wait.
And
just pause. How did they force you? What were they doing?
Well, this is the first. There's a balloon. I didn't know. Like, again, I've had multiple births, but there's a balloon that they can use, the balloon technique, and they tried to do that to force me into, dilating and things like that.
Okay, I've heard that from my friend Kiana. She recently gave birth to her son, and she talked about the balloon, but she intentionally went for that.
Okay.
You did.
Gotcha. And my doctor was like, no, don't force her, because we know how we know that she's a mother of multiples, you have to, you know, approach things differently. And so they didn't do that. So it had to be emergency C-section. Riley came out. She was having breathing issues. So they took her up to the NICU. I saw her for a second. Marcus could go up. Um, but I was started hemorrhaging really bad. And so I'm still under. And all of a sudden I see all of these doctors in my recovery room. Marcus is on the phone, then he gets off the phone. He's like, what's going on? Because it's like, I'm gonna get a little graphic here, but so many blood clots. Like they had to bring in a scale. And all of these doctors, is like, they were about to take me back into surgery. Then all of a sudden, once I realized, I'm like, okay, Lord, what's going on? So I started praying. And then they were able to get the bleeding and the hemorrhaging under control. But if they didn't, I was gonna have to go into emergency surgery. And that was the first time I had to have a blood transfusion in my life because I lost so much blood. And we really didn't understand how close to death I was until looking at the reports, hearing from the doctors. It like I said, she literally saved my life by having a C-section, because if I would have had her naturally, then it could have been worse.
Wow. Wow. That is just so wild to me that it had to be so.
Am I muted, Portia? Can you hear me?
No, I can hear you. I can hear you.
I can't hear you.
You can't
Maybe
hear
it's
me?
me.
Yeah. You
Let me
freezing.
see.
Oh, there you go. You're freezing in and out. She'll be back, guys. She'll be back. But that is what a lot of people don't know. First of all, childbirth is not easy. Okay. Getting pregnant is not easy for a lot of women. Carrying the child isn't easy for a lot of women, and delivery, giving birth, is not easy for a lot of women. It is indeed, without a doubt, a miracle to be able to get pregnant. It is a miracle to be able to carry a child at all, much less full term. It is a miracle to be able to give birth. So when we say the miracle of childbirth, like that is so real. Like that is a real thing, because literally every life is at stake, because you have the work that you have to do in the natural, but you're still also fighting at the spiritual level, because you teach what you know, but you give birth to who you are. And the enemy does not want you to give birth to someone as great and as powerful as yourself. He doesn't want another God-fearing woman walking this earth. He doesn't want another, kingdom building man walking this earth. So he's going to bring whatever attack necessary to assist you and not being able to follow through with the process. And so I'm grateful that your doctor fought for them to listen and to not do the balloon thing, because a lot of times in the medical community, I know they like to play God, and thinking because of their experience and they got this life in their hands and their degrees and their this and their that they are untouchable.
Right.
And so I love it when God steps in with the supernatural to show everybody who's really running this, who's really orchestrating and operating on this at the end of the day. And so Riley gets here with all of the the life-saving dramatics surrounding it. And then after all of that, because she's not even, is she one yet?
Yeah, she was, I think Aiden was born in July and she was born in November. So she's
Okay.
about 15 months now.
Okay. So she's not even two yet. And
No.
here we are with the
I know.
promise.
I was like, what? Are you serious? Like right now,
Right.
Lord, right now.
Pregnant
But it,
again. Like right now, you gonna put my womb through some more?
right, right. And it's funny because, and we should never question God, because one of my mothers in ministry, she's extremely prophetic. And when I first met her around this time last year, she says, Flower, I see a baby boy coming and but it's gonna be a crazy time for you guys. I was like, oh no, mama. You seeing the baby that was just born in November. It's March. She only a couple months old. I think that's what the Lord is telling you. So I had to go back to her at the end of last year and say, Ma, you
It was,
were
you heard from Jesus, right?
right. But I was like, and I literally brushed it off. I was like, oh no, I think mom's antennas off. Like, I think Riley is just fresh on people's minds. But lo and behold, it was.
Wow, that is powerful. Listen, I am that I am so just excited to hear your just the authenticity and the realness in this, because there's going to be some women who have not yet conceived that this is going to give them a heads up
For
on
sure.
what's possible, what can happen, just so they can prepare. And I just pray that the Holy Spirit brings to their remembrance some of the things that you've shared to give them comfort in knowing that even though they may be in that similar situation, just like He brought you out, brought you through, He can do the same for them too. So, how has this pregnancy been going?
Uh, this pregnancy has been going really good. It's like some people are like, how are you feeling? What is it? I'm like, I'm cruising along. I realized my face is getting a little fluffy. I told my sisters, like, why y'all ain't telling me my face was getting fat? Because it's literally been so easy. And I went through so much with Riley having pneumonia, having to be on bed rest. I've never been on bed rest. It was just bananas. And this pregnancy is it's just been so smooth. And, I'm just grateful because, one of my family members reminded me that, technically, you're at the age of having a geriatric pregnancy. I was like, oh, really? So I was like,
Thanks. Thanks for that nugget.
I was like, really? But yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm excited. But most of all, I'm just grateful. I'm just so grateful that that God has used me to bring forth some amazing young men and young women who we are raising them to give reverence to Him.
Amen. How old are you, LaFlower?
I'm 38.
So 38. And so I gave birth to Aiden, no, my 39th birthday. So I got pregnant at 38. And so I had him on my 39th birthday. So this whole, you're, listen, guys, I want you to understand what society says. None of that matters when it comes to the kingdom of God and operate on His principles. Remember, I said that's the title of my book. You're not infertile. You're just not in timing. So it does not matter what your age is. Okay. I met a woman at an event recently. She said her friend is pregnant and she's 60, 60
I got it.
right now, and pregnant with her first baby at 60. Okay. Women in their 50s are getting pregnant and giving birth. So 30s, like 30 is the new 15. Okay. So 30 is the new 38 is the new 28 for real when it comes to how God is moving and doing for women right now. So I know a lot of you may hear and get the report from your doctor. You got to do it now. And so in my book as well, I talk about my Penina encounter because we're blended as well. So I have a very Hannah like testimony, but I talk about Penina just from a spiritual perspective. Penina represents a person who is negative, who is unsupportive, bitter, jealous, insecure, and just has an issue with you being successful and happy. And so while there are some people who are intentionally like that, there are others who are just talking and don't even realize that they're feeding that because they just for them it's nothing, right? But for those of you who are the bystanders, the family members, the supporters, I want you to be mindful of the words that you choose to use when you are talking to this supernatural mama in the making, because there's a weight that she is carrying that is heavy, because life does not stop because we want to have a baby. We
Right.
still have to do all the other things. You still have to mother your other children while
Right.
carrying this one. So, if anything, the only thing that should be spoken to you is words of affirmation and encouragement and uplifting, not reminders of the darkness that could happen and what's going wrong, right? So, hopefully, though, anyone who's listening, if you know someone who desires to give birth, just make sure that during that time that you are being positive and uplifting for them. Okay, okay. So, LaFlower is an author, ladies and gentlemen, as well. Her book is called Principles to Reposition, and she just dropped off again. She'll be back. And so you can get her book on her website, which is her name, LaFlower Bowie. I've been pronouncing it wrong this whole time. LaFlowerBowie.com, her website, which I actually built. I actually designed and built her website for her. So that was one of the businesses that God had me birth throughout my process of waiting for my baby. But remember, I said life doesn't stop because you want to have a baby. You still got to give birth and deliver other things that God has called you to do. And so you can get her book on her website and connect with her there as well. And she's going to be with us, guys, here in Houston at the Supernatural Pregnancy Summit on March the 12th, right here in Houston, Texas. Is going to be a Holy Ghost time. Is going to be powerful. It's going to be uplifting and encouraging and inspiring. It is a prophetic push from midwives and ministers. It is guaranteed to activate your faith in fertility for every area of your life. Whatever it is that you are believing God for, I promise you right now that you are going to receive implantation, impartation, and inspiration to go out there, push, fight, and believe for it again. I have no doubt about that at all. So meet us in Houston, March the 12th. It is going to be a powerful time together. Supernaturalpregnancy.com is the website and information where you can go on and get your ticket. It's going to be powerful. It's going to be powerful. LaFlower, what do you want to leave the people with today?
I just want to leave everybody with, an encouraging word to, to keep the faith, and to most of all trust God in this season, because we are in a season of acceleration. So if you thought that, hey, I am getting older, or God, this isn't happening, or if you want to have multiple children and you're like, it doesn't fit what society looks like these days, I challenge you to stick with God and to just know that anything is possible with him, and that real purpose is being birthed in this season. And I just don't say, it's birthing season for every area in your life. I'm seeing marriages being changed. I'm seeing relationships with children being changed. I'm seeing career changes. I'm seeing financial explosions, just so many different things. So keep the faith in this season. Do not get weary in this season. Stay in position, because when you are in position and the winds of the Holy Spirit are blowing and blessings are raining down, and when it's God's time, and like Portia said, Kairos and Chronos time, when they align, guys, amazing things happen. So guys, I encourage you to keep the faith in this season and stay in position.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, my sister. I appreciate you for joining us today. And we will be definitely in. What do you do? What do you do? Have you shared that?
This is the
Okay.
first time on Supernatural.
Breaking news. Breaking news.
We will be having an Independence baby, because of course, since I've had one C-section, it's already planned that Kai will be here the first weekend in July.
Oh, his name is Kai. Yay!
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Kai.
Yes, my little Kai will be here.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Yes. A freedom baby.
Yes.
He's gonna be born broken free of any generational curse or anything that has tried to carry on. He is definitely the legacy builder, the chain breaker. He is coming in with a clean slate in Jesus' name. This will be a stress-free pain-free pregnancy for you. I decree and declare right now in the name of Jesus, you will have no issue, no drama whatsoever. The hospital staff is going to be sensitive to everything that you say. They're going to listen to you. They're going to treat you with tenderness and with care. You are going to have a peaceful pregnancy and walk out of there feeling like you were at the spa for the day. That's how relaxed you're going to
I
be.
receive it.
Yes, you deserve it. You deserve it. You know how I know? Because that's what God did for me.
Amen.
I prayed
Amen.
for a stress-free, pain-free pregnancy, and that's exactly what he did. I got off that table after having a C-section feeling like I just left the spa having a massage.
My God. My
I
God.
was up walking like it was nothing. Literally, it was just, I was like, God, you, now that postpartum was different. I should have prayed about that. That was different. Okay. So make sure you pray for a stress-free, pain-free postpartum too.
Exactly.
I missed
Exactly.
that part. But the pregnancy and everything was great.
Oh my goodness.
Awesome. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, LaFlower. I appreciate you.
No problem. Thank you guys for dealing with these technical issues. I gotta go outside and see what's going on.
Right. No worries at all. Everybody who was supposed to hear it got the message.
Amen to that. Amen. See you guys March 12th.
That's right. So, yes, ladies and gentlemen, March the 12th, right here in Houston, Texas, we're having the Supernatural Pregnancy Summit. Once again, you can get your tickets and everything at supernaturalpregnancy.com. That is supernaturalpregnancy.com. You can see it right there at the bottom of your screen. I think $33 is a ticket, and it's well worth it. We're going to be there, me and all these midwives. And we're going to have some more VIP special guests coming up as well. That's going to be there, and you're not going to want to miss it. You're not going to want to miss it. So if you are in the market for a baby, if you are in the market for a vision, for a book, for a business, for an idea, make sure you meet us in Houston, March the 12th for the Supernatural Pregnancy Summit. And then also, guys, head on over to you'renotinfertile.com. Grab a copy of my book, You're Not Infertile, You're Just Not in Timing. Supernatural strategies to activate your faith in fertility for every area of life. I detail out my journey prophetically, how God communicated to me throughout the process. After 5 years, 9 months, we got our one promise, our baby boy, Mr. 𝙎𝙪𝙥𝙚𝙧𝙪𝙧𝙖𝙡 Wilkins-Agomo. He is God's promise to us and absolutely incredible. And then after you order the book, head on over to watch my docuseries as well. It's just under 2 hours. I detail out my story there too, and just give you visuals as well as long for the journey. And it's just really a faith building, faith activating message that I wish I had when I was going through my journey and desiring to conceive. And so we'll see you guys March the 12th right here in Houston, Texas. I appreciate you. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you share this video with everyone that you know is desiring to conceive in any area of their life. And we'll meet you in Houston. Supernaturalpregnancy.com. Tickets, details, and information there. God bless you. God bless your family. And God most certainly bless your dreams. Goodbye, everybody.